In the ancient lands of Persia, the sun rises over vast deserts and bustling cities. The air is filled with the scent of spices and the sounds of merchants. Travelers gather, sharing tales of distant lands. Among them, a humble Israelite, weary yet hopeful, seeks a new beginning amid difficulties. The Israelite's heart is heavy with memories of his homeland. A longing for the promised land stirs within him, echoing the stories of old. Rumors of a mighty king, revered yet feared, reach his ears. The shadows of empire loom large over the hopes of his people. A divinely inspired vision fills his mind, a promise of restoration. He contemplates the fate of his people and the weight of God's calling. In this moment of reflection, a decision forms in his heart. Faith ignites a spark of courage as he prepares to act on the vision granted him. The sun sets over the bustling marketplace, casting long shadows on the cobblestone path. He takes a breath, feeling the weight of his decision. Clutching the vision tightly, he ventures into the heart of the city, each step echoing with purpose. The air is thick with both promise and peril. As he approaches the royal palace, the imposing structure looms before him. He feels the tension in the air, knowing his mission is fraught with danger. He stops to pray, his eyes closed, fervently seeking guidance. The weight of the empire's power presses upon him like a storm cloud. Gathering his strength, he opens his eyes, resolving to approach the king. A sudden gust of wind sends dust swirling around him. Crossing the threshold, he is met with curious stares. The opulence of the hall, adorned with golden decor, contrasts his humble appearance. At the end of the hall, the king sits upon his throne, a powerful figure cloaked in regal garments. The atmosphere is tense with expectation. With a deep breath, he steps forward, his voice steady yet trembling with emotion. The words he must speak linger on his lips. The king listens intently, an arch of intrigue forming on his brow. The murmurs of the courtiers create a backdrop of uncertainty. Suddenly, the king raises a hand, silencing the courtiers. His piercing gaze falls upon the man, a challenge hanging thick in the air. Taking this as his cue, he boldly lays out his request, a plea for his people, a chance for restoration. History itself seems to hold its breath. The king leans back, contemplating. In that moment, the fate of a nation hangs delicately in the balance, waiting for a divine intervention. The king leans back, contemplating. Silence engulfs the room, thick with anticipation. Nehemiah's heart races as he accepts the king's regard, sensing the weight of his plea. The courtiers whisper amongst themselves, intrigued by the tension in the air. With unwavering faith, Nehemiah gathers the courage to elaborate his request. He speaks of Jerusalem, the ruins, and the pain of his people, his voice steady but passionate. The king's eyes narrow, revealing a flicker of empathy as he listens intently. A tense hush falls over the hall. Even the servants hold their breath, captivated by the unfolding drama. Breaking the silence, the king finally says, "What do you wish for, Nehemiah?" Nehemiah's heart quickens. This moment could change everything for his people. With resolve, he responds, "Send me to Judah to rebuild the walls of my ancestors." The mention of Judah ripples through the hall like a wave, caught between disbelief and curiosity. A flicker of hesitation crosses the king's face, lingering like a storm cloud. Yet in that solemn moment, the weight of history hangs in the balance. Finally, the king leans back, a contemplative look etched in his gaze. Nehemiah prays silently, seeking divine favor for his homeland and people. The king's voice cuts through the quiet. "How long will you be gone?" Relief floods Nehemiah. He knows his moment has arrived to act on faith. He quickly calculates the time needed for the journey and the rebuilding. With courage, he replies, "If it pleases you, send me for a season." The king considers Nehemiah's words, gauging the implications for Persia. Finally, the king gestures, signaling agreement with solemn resolve. Nehemiah's heart swells with gratitude. A whisper of hope ignites within him. In that pivotal moment, a new chapter for both nations begins to unfold. Nehemiah leaves the throne room, his heart burning with purpose and divine direction. Nehemiah stepped into the bustling streets of Susa, his heart aflame with purpose, preparing to gather the Israelites for their journey. With a voice of authority, Nehemiah called out to the exiles, igniting hope in their hearts as he shared the king's decree. The crowd responded with increasing excitement, their murmurs turning into fervent conversations about returning home to Jerusalem. As the preparations began, families gathered their belongings, carefully packing their meager possessions into woven baskets. Nehemiah watched as children played with simple wooden toys, embodying the promise of a future beyond the oppression they knew. The day of departure arrived, and with reverence they gathered for a final prayer, seeking God's blessing on their journey. With hearts lifted in faith, they set forth, leaving Susa behind, marching toward an unknown future filled with promise. As they traveled, they shared stories of their ancestors, recounting the glory of Jerusalem and the temple that once stood firm. Days turned into weeks, and weary but resolute, they finally glimpsed the distant walls of Jerusalem, a sight that stirred their spirits. Their hearts raced as they approached the city, the echoes of their ancestors whispering promises of restoration and hope. Upon entering, they were welcomed by fellow Israelites, raising shouts of joy that resonated in the sacred land once more. Nehemiah stood in the midst of the crowds, a profound sense of divine purpose enveloping him, ready to lead the restoration. Nehemiah raised his hands, quieting the fervent crowd. "We shall restore the walls of Jerusalem." The excitement surged as hope ignited their spirits. Days passed, and under the scorching sun, the exiles began to gather stones and timber. Every swing of the hammer echoed their determination to rebuild. Yet as they built, a wave of opposition arose. Enemies mocked them, shouting a fox could break down their wall. Their laughter pierced through the air. Nehemiah, undeterred, turned to the people. "Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome." This renewed faith fueled their resolve to overcome despair. Finally, after days of tireless labor, the wall rose tall and proud. Featuring new gates, it shielded the city once more, a testament to perseverance and faith. As the gates were hung, Nehemiah gathered the people once more. "Today we rejoice. God has restored us." Their voices rose in a powerful chorus of worship.